Oh, he's doing it. What episode is this? Episode 3.
Episode 3.
All right. Okay, you ready?
Peace.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the virtual barber shop. It's me, your boy, the keyboard warrior Carl Atlas, joined as always by the mighty Mad Dog Quinn. So this is season 4, episode 3. It's just me and the homeboy in the barbershop this week. So yeah, just going to catch you up on the recent comings and goings in our life, and then we're going to chat quickly about Money in the Bank as well. As we discussed last podcast, we said we're excited because it was the return of crowds to not just us but also the WWE, and they had their first pay-per-view in front of a live audience, so it's worth talking about. So we'll dive straight in. Fact or Fit, I'll start. So this week has been tricky for me. I'm suffering a lot at the moment, physically, I'm and emotionally as well, actually, and mentally, because I'm really gutted that I've put in all this hard work, bringing myself up to a decent fitness level, and trying to get in shape and eating right and all the rest of it. And then my body betrays me because shows are finally back and my lower back has just gone, man. It's just, I know I've been moaning about it for a little while, but it's just progressively getting worse, to the point where I've now gone and booked in some chiro. I'm definitely looking into getting some acupuncture done. I need to kind of do like a bit of a body MOT and look after myself because I'm frustrated. I'm angry that, I've worked so hard to be ready for shows again, and now my body's saying...
You look good, Carl, though, man. You're looking good. You've done your hair all nice.
Yeah,
your beard all nice. You got all sexy like the Mad Dog. Because usually you're all Fu Manchu. You leave it to me. You leave it to me to be the trim one with the skin fade and the hipster point. But you've gone. Look at you. You've gone all sexy on us.
It's too hot to have all that hair, man.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about that, like the heat, man. So, as I said, like my lower back pain is one of the major issues at the moment. It has progressively gotten worse, and I've tried to look after myself. And when I do go to the gym, I'm very careful about it, and even when I'm wrestling, I'm very careful about it. And it's more when I'm mobile, I feel all right. It's there. I know it's there, but I can get around and I can still do the stuff that I want to do. And then as soon as I stop or I sit still, it's agony. Like I'm sat here now. I've got like a lumbar support.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, brother.
So yeah, it's time for me to look after myself a little bit. So I've gone and treated myself to a bit of as I say, chiro and acupuncture. But yeah, as I say, mentally though, that's more frustrating than anything. Because like you say, I'm fit, I was looking good, I was feeling good. We got to that show. We'll talk about that a lot more in a minute. We got to that show and I put the gear on properly for the first time since lockdowns and all the rest of it. And I was feeling good, man. Like I was looking good, and people were commenting like, you look great, you look better than you have in ages, and that was awesome. So yeah, a little bit gutted.
And you only had to pay them a little bit of money to say that as well.
I had to give up a little bit of a wage. But this week
you got paid.
Hot dog and a handshake, brother. You know how it goes. So this week, because there was supposed to be, and we'll get to this in a minute, another show this weekend. I thought, right, well, I want to get more ring time. Because obviously we took the Sunday off where we normally meet up with the Sunday Suicide Squad, but post-show, 2 shows back-to-back on Saturday, we were all feeling it. We all had prior engagements.
It was so hot, and we had. I think it was one of those things where we'd done our nut on Saturday, and yeah, like you say, we will come to that, but we totally did our nut. We blew. Yeah,
we blew both balls, and so. So this week I went down to Rishi's Quality Wrestling Academy for his WrestleFit. I told you about this in the last pod. I went to one, and it's intense, man. It's like an hour of just intense, constant movement. Basically designed. It's a session designed to get you ring ready, and to blow you up and to just keep you moving and to push your cardio, which was perfect for me. So I thought, right, I'll do 2 of those this week in this fucking heat. And yeah, man. So Tuesday was a killer. Thursday was an absolute nightmare, and but I did it. I completed it to the best of my ability, and I always feel better afterwards. And while I'm moving around, like I said, I'm fine. But I did a drop kick in the corner on the punch dummy they've got there, Keith. Yeah. Old Keith, and I landed funny, and I felt something pop in my back, and I was like, I got up and I was a bit like, oh, that felt weird. And then afterwards, I was in the car and I was like, actually, I feel a little bit better. And I wondered if it was something in my back just kind of clicked a little bit and it felt good, but it wasn't enough, you know. And now I'm back to feeling rotten again. But and I might be skipping ahead a little bit here, and we'll circle back to a lot of this. But yeah, so I did all of that only to find out today that the show has been called off due to extreme weather warnings.
Yeah, likely it's going to flood, isn't it? We're getting like some really extreme flooding warnings. So
it was an outdoor event. So the basically was like an event where the company had been hired in, and so the host, if you like, the pub, I think it was a pub, said, look, we're going to have to postpone it, which is gutting, but it happens, and you can't cry over spilt milk. And it might be for the best, as I said, because I don't want to make my back even worse. And I've got time now to go and do these things that I want to do to look after myself. But yeah, so I did that this week to kind of keep on top of it. I went to the gym, honestly, in between those sessions, a couple of light sessions, nothing major. As I said, I'm very worried. So, I'm trying to stay on top of it. But at the same time, you've got to be careful when you've got a bad back. You just don't want to make it worse and put yourself out for a long time.
Yeah, like, as you know, I suffer with sciatica and I slipped a disc a couple of years ago and what have you. And mine flared up as you know, like maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, before the first show we were meant to do. And I was like, oh no, we got 2 weeks. Yeah, that was like 2 weeks into June, because we were meant to have our first show back was meant to be 25th of June. And then that got binned off because of the extension and the lockdown rules and what have you. And I thought, great, I need that extra time to recover and heal. And it's been getting steadily better. And I still feel like I'm on the other side of the recovery on it. I know my back isn't locking up as tight as it was before. I know the muscles have relaxed. I'm doing my yoga. I'm stretching the piriformis. I'm doing my DDP yoga, you know. And funny enough, the one time my back doesn't hurt is when I wrestle.
Yeah,
whether I'm training or at the shows. Yeah, man. And bumping doesn't hurt either. You know, my lower back, I can walk in, putting on shoes, bending over to put your pants on, that hurts. Taking a bump, not a problem. And I think it's because completely different parts of the back are the problem here. So I went back into the gym. Well, I say back into the gym. I never really leave the gym, but I kind of went back this week feeling a bit better. So I went in like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I went in like, just absolutely keen. Coming off the back of Saturday, I'm like, boom, 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 we are going. I've been dialing my nutrition in this week, like really dialing it in, reduced my portion size, increased my vegetables, increased protein, decreased carbohydrates. Really dialed that in. Really dialed that in. I've been grouchy this week because I'm super deficit on. I'm probably about 800 calories short at the moment, and it's making me super grouchy. I don't know if that's the heat and it's probably the heat exacerbating it and making it worse. And then yesterday my back just flared up again, just a little bit. There's a little twinge, and it's just like in your brain you're like, oh, don't start again. Don't start again. I'm just back on track. So yeah, but I've been hitting it really hard this week. We got like 7 weeks now into we're back round to the end of our first year, and I was serious about what I said last week. 8 weeks, just to try and really kick it into touch. So I don't know if it's going to work. I just think it's worth having a bit of a sprint at it. What's there to lose? Yeah. It's only a matter of giving the things you love.
Yeah. Talking about that heat though, man, like I think, this week I felt super rough. And I do think a large contributor to that is my lower back. It's not nice feeling being constantly in pain, and you're dosing yourself up with paracetamol and cocodamol, whatever you're allowed to take. And that can't be good for your body on a long-term basis anyway. And then the heat, well, the knock-on effect of the heat is that you don't sleep very well, because you're not comfortable in your own bed.
If you don't sleep, you don't heal, and that makes it worse.
Yeah, and then this week has been like, because I work in a school, as you know, It's been the run up to the end of term, so it's been just full on. The kids are hyper, etc. And I think I've just burnt myself out. Like literally this afternoon, the kids had left. We said goodbye to them. They'd gone off for their summer, and I was just preparing my new classroom, and I had that kind of like, oh god, and my mouth started watering like bad. And I ran to the toilet, and I was just praying to the porcelain god for a little while there, and just dry heaving. And I hadn't eaten a lot that day, so that it was like there was nothing to give. Eventually, I managed to bring something up, and I had a drink of water, and I felt a little bit better, and I managed to finish what I was doing and go home. But it's just wiped me out, man. So there's something not right with me physically at the moment that I need to deal with. And as I say, it's bittersweet in a way that this weekend's show got cancelled, because I think it will give me the time that I need now to go away.
You need a couple of days. You need a couple of days break, man. You need a couple of days recovery, like just to stop and do nothing, just to chill a little bit. That's the thing as well. You forget that recovery, resting is as important as constantly moving around. You're hitting the gym, you go, and that's gonna be tough as well. Hitting the gym 4 or 5 nights out of the week and trying to get down to quality, and then working at the weekends and doing shows.
Yeah,
it's a tough, lot. It's a tough balance, man. And you add in this heat, man. Yeah. And like you said, being constantly in pain. That's the thing that I struggle with my back as well. It's not that I'm worried about damaging it. It's just that constant grinding, tiring pain.
Yeah.
And the thing is, at some point, you just got to stop all the medical. Like I was taking dihydrocodeine and tramadol and diazepam and all sorts a couple of weeks ago just to be able to sleep and just so I could stay still and not, in not enough, just in pain free enough to be able to sleep for a bit. But they start, like you said, doing you a mischief.
Yeah,
so you've got to cut all that shit on the head as well, So, yeah. But anyway, I tell you what I did do though. I did get in the gym this week. I did hit it really hard. I did send a message to the Bombay Bad Boys Tuesday night. I sent them a message telling them they got to get ready. I hope they're getting ready too. I'm looking forward to that match. That's in 2 weeks' time, man.
Yeah, man, and it's in your neck of the woods. We're in Southampton,
in my home yard,
right?
yeah, man. It's my back.
Yeah, man, and we got a first shot at tag titles. This may be our first shot at tag belts since our UBW run, right?
Well, we're the current FWF tag team champs.
Yeah, but
it's our first match. We didn't really compete for those, so this is the first set we're competing for directly. That was kind of our heel. That was our face. Christ, that was it. That was one of the most heely things we did, and I think it was our face turn.
Yeah, which has been well documented in our episode with Rishi. Which, if you want to go back through our catalogue and find that, it's a great one. But circling back to the heat, man. So I guess we need to talk about the Groundlings, the first show back, because
yeah, man,
that was a hot ass day.
Oh.
And it was a long day because of the reduced...
mercury tipped about 30 degrees that day, if not. Oh, what was it said? I think it must have been 30, 32 degrees. And there was no ventilation. There was no windows.
This is the thing, right? So it's a long day. They had a reduced capacity because of this was still just on the cusp of the full relaxing of the restrictions.
Yep.
So they split it. They did a matinee show and then an evening show so that they could get everyone in, but just on 2 different shows. And it's upstairs. So you're carrying the ring upstairs. Like you say, it's in a theatre, which is it's a lovely venue, but it is quite cozy. Let's say cozy. And like you say, no windows. They've got them all blocked out because it's a theatre and it's kind of those big thick curtains that hold the heat in. And you're knocking back water and you're drinking and doing everything you can. But there's no getting away from it. It was sweltering, absolutely sweltering. There were guys coming back, saying, "Oh, how long did we do?" They were given 15 minutes to fill, and someone would say, "You did 5, lads," and they're dripping, and you're like, "What? 5 minutes?" Yeah,
no pressure. We only had to fill the time at the end.
Yeah, man. So, I didn't feel. When I was out there, I didn't feel it. I think, again, adrenaline counts for a lot, and I was super excited, like you were, to be just back out in front of fans and doing our thing. And I wasn't finding that it was making me more tired being in that heat. It was just, normal tiredness, like an okay level of knackeredness for a wrestling match. And so we had a tag match on the afternoon one, the matinee show, which and I don't know about you, man. I felt like the biggest issue was more so than the physicality, the actually performing the stuff, the moves and the spots. The biggest difficulty for me was being able to put that together, like mentally backstage and being creative and kind of going back to that place of like a year and a half ago, I could have called a tag match for you and me blind and been like, right, we're going out, we're doing this, and this, and we'll see you out there. I found that it was more clunky just having that discussion of like, right, what's our shtick? What do we do? Like, and I found that I think that's going to take longer to come back actually, and that's something that I hadn't really thought about. I hadn't factored in that creatively and mentally I have not exercised that muscle up here, but I've done this one. I've done all my arms and my chest and everything. I'm all good on that front, but I haven't exercised my mental muscle, and I think that shocked me actually how much that affected me. But we got through it, and actually I was pleased with the outcome. I don't know about you.
I'm sure you were pleased with the outcome of calling the match.
Oh,
you managed to stay unscathed, and I managed to get a shit kicking. How did that work out?
It wasn't even the fact that you took more than me somehow, even though it wasn't meant to be that way. It was the fact that you love to do the running squash in the corner.
Yeah.
So, and Mad Dog, you don't know if you know this about Mad Dog, but he cannot resist the one more rep. You know, if someone says, come on, one more, push it. So he's running in the corner and he's doing this thing and he's going backwards and forwards and he's getting Rishi and he's getting Bullet. We'll talk about Bullet in a minute, actually, because he's new to our team and I think he's worth a mention. But he's squashing, he's running backwards and forwards. He did it about 7 or 8 times. And
I did 10.
Oh, what, on the first go?
On the first run, I did 10.
On the first go, he does 10, right? And he stops and he does a breather in the middle, which was, he was going to do that anyway. But while he's doing that, I'm cheerleading on the outside going 1, 2, 3, like getting people into it. And they were kind of coming into it. And they were lighting up for it. So I was like, right, 7 more times. Like I was wetting myself on the inside, like dying, thinking there's no way.
I'm in the middle going, you fucking prick, you fucking prick.
I was like, you're never going to take the bait. You're maybe going to hit 1 more each and then die in the middle. But no, man, Mad Dog goes for the full 7. He hits them. It was incredible. And yeah, you were gassed, and rightly so, because it was a lot.
Yeah,
in that heat,
gassed, and then in comes Rishi with the Bombay bicycle kick straight to the face. I literally eat his boot straight to the face. Bullet comes charging in with the hip, and then Rishi comes charging in. Literally, I didn't even get a chance to breathe, and then Rishi comes afterwards. Oh man, that was tough. It was good fun though. It was lots.
Yeah,
and I like physical matches. I really like physical matches. It keeps me in the game. Yeah, it was good, man. And
I mentioned Bullet, right? So I've never met Bullet before, and he came down. I think he was Doug Williams' transport. Like he came with Doug, and sort of filled in as Rishi's tag partner for the night. He's a good lad. He's a strong hand. He looks great. He's got fantastic attire. He's solid. He's got a presence about him. He's got all those things that you want, And he's not a full greenhorn. He looks great. Again, I wish I knew more about him because I don't want to do him a misservice. He might have been on the scene for a lot longer than I'm giving him credit for.
He had a bit of a break. See, he started I was chatting to him backstage. He started about 2010 or something.
Right.
Did a couple of years, and then stopped.
Yeah.
And then had 3 or 4 years off, and then came back a couple of years ago. So he should be in his own words, he should be further along. But he had a bit of a gap, he had a bit of a break, and now he's back. And obviously then, I think his issue was, he said he came back, he'd been back for about a minute, and then lockdown kicked in.
Yeah, man. That's not his fault, though. But, yeah, no, he was, he just impressed me because he's just, I look for things now. It's like, are you in the right place at the right time? Are you where you need to be when you need to be there? And he was exactly where he needed to be at all times. He wasn't rushing through stuff. It was just, I would gladly, if he had a tag team partner of his own, I would gladly work with him and his tag team partner again.
Yeah, he was good guy.
Yeah, hellacious choke slam. I love taking a big old choke slam, but he held me up in the air, and I don't know if that's because he's just massively strong, or again, if I've lost the weight a little bit. But man, he held me up there, and it was one hell of a choke slam. I can't wait to kind of watch that one back, actually. But yeah, that first show was good. I felt like the crowd were a little bit more subdued in that one on the matinee show.
It was quieter. I don't think it was as booked out. I don't think we sold as many. I think we were a bit short of completely selling out the matinee. Matinee's a tough sell, man.
Yeah.
It's a hard
People
sell.
got work.
People got work. Got things going on. They're doing the shopping. It's really hot.
Yeah.
Matinee's tough. So and that's why it didn't. And that's why it was tough. It was tough to draw that one. And yet, literally, the next show started. I think we had a 45-minute break.
Yeah.
And the next one was absolutely packed and was heaving.
Can we just say as well? That tag match was the main event of the matinee, and I was curtain jerking on the next one.
And then I was second, So you and I. It
was a good job that I wasn't quite as gassed as Mad Dog, because I had to go out and work a match on the second show against Danny Gibson, who's debuting kind of a...
Elias kind of character?
Yeah, like a snarky rock star, kind of full of himself rock star. And I think I don't want to badmouth anyone and say the wrong thing. I think nerves got best here, and I'm not saying that I was perfect either. I struggled putting it together. I was trying to think about how can I do my usual stuff and simplify it enough to make this guy comfortable, which kind of threw me a little bit. And I wanted to hit a couple of things that I've been training and trying out. Like if you've been seeing my social media or anything, there's a few bits that I've posted from Rishi's Academy. But I think the heat, and I do blame the heat in that building, I think made the ropes kind of spongier, like stretchier almost, like slacker. Like where they warmed up so much, they suddenly kind of lost a little bit of tension. I don't know if anyone tightened them in between the shows. And again, I'm not blaming a good workman, shouldn't blame his tools. Ultimately, it was on me. But I hit that rope for like a kind of an inside-out senton thing. And I'm so used to Rishi's ropes just kind of holding me there and giving me the spring. But these ropes went down and stayed down. And I was like, oh, God. So all I could do was an awkward roly-poly over the ropes onto the guy's legs. It looked dreadful, and I was kicking myself about that afterwards. So it wasn't perfect by any means. And I'm one of these people, like, I kind of want things to be perfect or as close to it as I possibly can.
The thing is, and this, I'll say this, like, Carl will kick you kick other people sometimes. You're the first to get cross sometimes with people when they screw up. But at the same time, that goes both ways. You get equally cross with yourself when it's you that does it. It's not unfair. Yeah. It's like you want things to be right.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the match, not my opponent. And I think that's important to say because I understood the limitations of my opponent. I understood my own limitations. And I think I shot for more than I should have on that, knowing that was going to be my first singles match back and that I was on with someone who's relatively green, debuting a new gimmick and all the rest of it. So that's on me. I take full ownership of that, having thought about it. But, and I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit as well. So I was kind of walking around afterwards like, okay. But it was a come down.
At least you knew what was going on after that show.
So, yeah, we should probably talk about...
out, man. I was out of it.
Mad Dog singles match against Hitman for Hire, a good friend of ours from the Sunday Suicide Squad. He's a good lad. He's a hell of a hand.
We've worked together dozens of times.
He's one of the most underrated workers in the country by like any stretch. Like the only thing holding him back is just he needs to put on a bit of muscle, perhaps. But so go on. You tell the story.
So, match one, get a shit kick in, take a kick to the head. You know me, I like working tight, I like working snug. I've worked Willie D hundreds of times. We've done loads of matches, both in the training academy and in shows, right? We've called it a couple of weeks ago. It's a match we've done a couple of times. It's really hot. We're going out second. We call this super simple psychology match. Just brawling on the outside, nice and slow, with a couple of big moments towards the end, right? The big moment, the first big moment being a massive super kick. And this is not the first time that I've been caught out by a super kick. So I've got loose after, I'm firing up. I've got loose. I've run off. I've ducked a line. I've eaten a super kick. Only I'm running full force forwards. Willie is kicking his leg high. He's got full extension, and I run straight into his boot. Boom. I don't salute it. I don't turn my head. I just get cracked straight in the face, and my head snaps back. Boom. I think I was on autopilot for about 5 minutes after that.
This is not the first time that you've been fully had your clock cleaned by a super kick either.
No, this is the second time.
Like, you know how I think I might have told this story on the pod before about how, Triple H said that, there's just certain things in wrestlers' wheelhouses that they can't do.
You've got a blind spot.
He can't do the thing where you charge at the buckle and hit the turnbuckle without. He does exactly the same. He knocks himself out clean every time. He just so he just if you can't swim, you steer your ass out of the pool.
Yeah, man.
I think once is bad, twice is a warning, and maybe like I would try and avoid doing that.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it was the same both times. It's because I can take a super kick when I'm static, not a problem. You just salute or turn, what have you. But both times I've got concussion, and both times I've wrecked my mouth and done my lips in. I've been running.
Yeah,
and it's because I put too much faith on my chin.
Yeah,
it's too much because I take everything. I eat shots all the time, right? And it's not a problem. But the thing is, and I should know better, being from a martial arts background, a kick is a hellacious thing. Like, it's not like a punch. It's a hellacious thing, especially a fully extended side kick. And that's basically what a super kick is. It's a fully extended side kick, right? And they're based and they're static. And if you're moving and running, then you're going one way, the foot's going the other way. And we say this all the time in wrestling. You're exposing yourself. If you're in combat, your chin's down, you turn your head, it goes glancing by. You put an elbow up, it comes off. You block and it comes off, right? In wrestling, you lift your head up and go on then. Like, your head's already up. And, there's things you do when you're fighting which protect you from getting knocked out. Tucking your chin down makes the impact go into your neck. Lifting your chin up makes it more likely you're going to snap your head back. So I think that my head snapped back, and I think when we watch that back, I think it'll be pretty obvious, actually, that I was pretty out of it. And I think I was out of it the next day as well. Like, I was pretty out of it most of Sunday. Like, yeah, it was bad, man. But when we got through the match, the crowd didn't know, and the crowd popped at the finish. So
good. I mean, lesson learned. Like I said, you called it. You said, I've got a blind spot, and I know what it is. It's when I run in. And so when you're calling your matches next time, and then if someone suggests it, you just say, I'm sorry, lads, I can't do it. Like, I'll stand there, but I'm not running into it. So, lessons learned. And it's good that, even at this stage, we're still learning stuff like that. Before we move off the Groundling show, I think we need to talk about the main event of the final show, the evening show, which was Look at You versus Doug Williams. Now, these guys had already worked matches in the build-up to this. This was like a little mini tournament. And, as I said, in that heat, I mean, they're both consummate professionals. Nobody has been training harder than Jakey in the run up to this. And, in that heat, in the hood, it's like a sauna on your face. They went out and gave it everything. It was a solid wrestling match. I watched the whole thing from start to finish. And, I know that Jake's a little bit like me. He's kind of looked at it and kicked himself a little bit. This could have been better. That could have been better. Dude, ultimately, you worked your ass off. First one back against the legend and held your own. No shame in the game there, man. You did really, really well. I was genuinely impressed with both guys, really. I mean, it's awesome still to see Doug work even now. And it was again great to watch a good friend who I know has worked hard and actually genuinely earned it. get that kind of spot. And you know, again, he might have gone, you know, I could have done it, but it's a learning experience, and it's a learning experience that you deserve to have. You deserve to be in that spot and to make those mistakes and then learn from them. They were your mistakes and your lessons to learn in that moment. Nobody else deserved to have that learning experience at that time. So, and it was awesome to end our first kind of big event back on that one. I can't wait for Southampton. I'm genuinely pumped for that. I think it's going to, you know, be even better. A new venue. It's actually a school I have worked at in the past.
Yes,
the Oasis Academy, Mayfield.
I've done shows there, actually. I've done shows there for other people. So
yeah, it's just down the road from the Chamberlain Leisure Centre, which was one of our old haunts. So we're hoping to see some familiar faces there who have cheered us on in the past. Please do come down. I believe tickets are still available. Check out the Kapow Facebook page and the events pages for all of that up-to-date info.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really great show, actually, that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a show. I believe the plan is still to have it outside on the hard courts, but with floodlights and everything. So it'll be a nice, cool atmosphere. No, not too hot. Which again, super excited for, and it'll have a completely different feel to it, I think. Yeah, can't wait. So that was our big event of the weekend. The very next day was the WWE's first big event with a live crowd.
Yeah, man.
Which was Money in the Bank.
Cracking show, man. I don't know if you caught it or not. And I didn't catch it Sunday night. I watched it on Monday.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't caught up with it yet because I have so little time during the week, so little energy to stay up and watch a 3-hour show. Unfortunately, when you get to a certain point of the week, you can't remain spoiler-free. I've seen the results, and I've heard enough to know that it's worth checking out, and I'm up for it.
Well, I was saying to this in our preamble. You know, we always say this. Me and Carl get together and we call it before we start shooting the podcast. And then we call it our preamble. And I said this to you at the time. It's so nice watching pay-per-views now because I have very little expectations.
Yeah,
there's very little hype. I'm not often let down. Sometimes you are, but because I'm not really invested in the product, I'm just kind of enjoying watching. Especially when what I would say about this, not every match, but for the majority, like 90% of everything that happened on that card was so good that it was just fun to watch. Like let's break it down. Let's start where the show started, right? Very first match out was the women's ladder match for Money in the Bank, right?
Okay.
And the match was solid. The end was a bit comical. I think they missed their mark a little bit. When you watch it, you'll see what I mean. Like, they've got 3 ladders set up, and 6 of the competitors are up on the ladders, and they're brawling backwards and forwards over the ladders, right? Nikki sees the opportunity, scrambles up, climbs over the back of someone, reaches up, unhooks the belt, and jumps down, right? Fantastic. But 3 of them stop to watch her.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, on camera, Tamina, Natalia, and someone else, they stopped what they were doing and started watching her, and they were like slow motion carrying on brawling. And I'm like, oh, you've taken me out of the moment there. Like, why didn't one of you just punch her? Like, you're brawling, so why didn't one of you just punch her in the face before she unhooked it?
Was the story that they were going for that no one in that match believed that it was going to be her? It was that kind of disbelief moment of like...
all the way through, because you got some great big, you got some powerhouses in there. Asuka was in that match. Natalia's in that match. So she was definitely not the favourite. And obviously she's come sneaking up while they're all fighting. I think probably going into that, the person with the biggest pop on the entrance was, what's her name? She comes out with the glow.
Naomi,
and she was amazing, and it was an amazing. Don't get me wrong, it was a really good, strong, solid match with loads of really nice, strong, solid moments in it. Right? I just think I know you when you watch it, you're like, oh, I can see what you were trying to do because that would have been really funny, but it took me out a little bit in that she could have, if she had climbed up and they'd all ignored her, she'd taken it down, hopped down, run out, climbed up another ladder, and then stood there holding the briefcase and then they're like slowly stop brawling and they're like, and then they realize it's gone. Epic moment, right? Really funny. But they kind of went and watched her, and you're like, Why would you? It's a bit like, we talk about this in tags, don't we? You don't move yourself. You don't let your opponent move himself into his own corner.
Yeah.
You cut the ring off, because if you let him get too close to when you're the heels and you're heating someone up in a tag match, if you let them get too close to their tag partner, they'll just tag themselves out. So you don't let them do it, right? So it was that sort of psychology moment for me.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, that's a shame. But it was still cool. It was still cool. And I think she's taken it, and I think she's used it this week. Now, I don't watch the product, but I've seen the dirt sheets. I think she's the champ.
Yeah, she is. Someone asked me about, you love all that kind of superhero stuff, and Kapow was born on the whole kind of superheroes meets wrestling. What do you think of this character and this angle? Like, it's one of those Marmite ones, isn't it? People are kind of going, oh, it's a bit like Molly Holly, and it's a bit played out. I tell you this, man, she is filling a role that has been empty since Bayley turned heel. She is that little girl's hero character.
Yeah, man.
The hugger, the hugger character was all about smiles and colours and just being sweet and nice.
Being a hero. Being a hero.
To a little girl, someone that you can look up to and go, wow, she's my favourite. She is filling that character gap that has been missing for a while. And I'm all about it. I think it's great. I think,
tough, she's brave, she's out there, she's got courage. And courage isn't about being the biggest, is it? Or the strongest, or the best. Courage is about knowing that you're not and still going and doing it anyway. And I really like the throwback. It feels like she does the climb up and the hop down, much like the Hurry Friends did. But I don't mind that. I like a bit of nostalgia. I like that sometimes they throw back to the people. Like, you can't reinvent things, right? It'd be like having a cape and going and trying to do it a different way than Superman. Like, why? Like, when it's been done really well, borrow politely and respectfully, obviously.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I'm all for it, and yeah. So she's got the belt now, and I don't know necessarily that she'll be a long time champ, but at the moment that doesn't matter. I think it's just nice that she's got it. Yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes.
So what was next? Match 2, tag match. Now.
Is this the Mysterios and the Usos?
No, that was a dark match. That was pre-show.
Oh, okay.
That was on the pre-show. Although they got their moment on the pay-per-view. We'll come to that later on. This was Omos and AJ.
Oh, versus the Viking Raiders.
Now, I love the Viking Raiders. The guys are great. They're amazing. Like, so many things.
AJ is phenomenal.
AJ's amazing. Now, I'm coming round on Omos.
Oh, man.
No. Bear with me, right? Now, okay. Watch the match and you'll see what I mean. There are issues there. There are issues. Big issues there, right? And I think the biggest issue is I don't know why they do this with Guy. And I know he's a big lump. And I know he was a successful collegiate basketball star, right? I know that he comes into it with a lot of success. But he did 6 months in developmental before they moved him up to the card. 6 months. He started training in January and he then got moved up in the June of 2019 and then they had a year out. That for me is the biggest issue. But I'm coming round to him a little bit. Honestly, there is definitely something there. And it's hard building a guy that's that big, right? Because he should destroy everything that's in front of him. But that's boring as fuck. Makes really dull telly, right? It just isn't fantastic. But he's clearly not ready. So how do you get him ready? Well, you put him with AJ.
Yeah.
And you slowly warm him up. You get him more experience in a safe place where no matter what happens, someone can make an entry. Someone can make an entry and can save the day no matter what's going on. I think they should have probably kept him in developmental longer. Made him work his way through NXT, because you know what he hasn't learned and what he hasn't got is he hasn't got a character. And I think sometimes the E forget that being big is not a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's not a gimmick. It's not and the guys that are big, that are successful, right, are like, okay, so he had a couple of moments that were really cool, but there was nothing to attach to and make it like Like, oh, I like that. He's my hero. Like you just said about the little, Nikki and being your hero. There was nothing to connect to because he's not the big red machine. He's not the dead man walking. He's not the phenom. He's not the world's strongest. He's not the world's biggest athlete. He's not the world's strongest man. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're a monster, you still need to have the thing that is uniquely your big thing. You know? But
yeah,
the match was strong, and fair play to the Viking Raiders because they made Omar Mas look really good in places.
yeah.
In places.
I think I said this before. I do like and respect the fact that it's like it keeps AJ somewhere where he doesn't have to work those mad main event style matches where, let's face it, he's coming down on the last sort of legs of his career. So it looks after him. I totally get it. I just wish it was with someone better than Omas, really. But yeah, it is what it is.
He had a couple of good moments, man. Like you won't fast forward all the way through. You'll watch it. Like it wasn't so oppressively terrible that you wouldn't watch it. I tell you what came up next that really was bad, and it's such a shame that it was bad because the next match was Kofi versus Lashley, and he just beat the fuck out of him. It was an extended, and the crowd were pissed.
I've heard about this. I've heard
10
about
minutes
this.
of shit kicking. He didn't get a single offensive movement, fucking nothing. He just kicked the piss out of him.
But
but this guy's held the world. Oh come on, he's held the world championship he's held tag.
Yeah.
I get the storyline of Kofi. Lashley's annoyed that he's been called a pussy, so I'm now going to rip your head off. But Kofi still, even a good squash match doesn't bury the guy. You lift him for a moment so that there's something to defeat. Otherwise, you're not doing anything.
Look, I can totally see your side of it, and obviously I do love Kofi, so I haven't watched the match. I'm speaking very objectively. I probably would agree with you if I'd watched it live. In terms of the big picture, long-term storytelling, they had the upset in the run-up with Xavier getting the win. And then, so now he's got a reason to take it out on Kofi. It's unfortunate that it is someone of Kofi's caliber in that spot. But in terms of the long-term booking, it makes perfect sense because we know now that we're heading towards Lashley versus Goldberg at SummerSlam. So to make him squash someone to set up, I'm going against the ultimate squasher in Goldberg, it kind of makes sense. And when you take into account the result of the men's Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, but it's just the way they put it together. I don't mind it. I don't mind that Kofi got the piss beat out of him, but
it could have been
my favorite squash match is Lesnar Hardy.
Yeah.
2004 Armageddon, right? It was Armageddon, yeah. Because Jeff Hardy, he was never going to win, but there was a moment where you thought, oh my God, he could. And at any moment, he could go off the top. And Kofi has that spark. Kofi has that resilience. We know he's had matches with people like Cena and Randy and people that can go the distance, that can really put the match in, and Kofi can come back. We know he's got the lungs for it. We know that they've built him that way several times. To not give him a moment, to not give him one... and also, I think it takes away from Lashley. Honestly, it doesn't lift Lashley up. Lashley didn't walk through trouble in paradise. Lashley didn't get back up from taking a couple of kicks to the head. He didn't take anything. He didn't prove he was tough. He just picked up a much, much smaller man and slammed him on the floor a bunch of times in a really dull way because Lashley's fucking boring. Can't wrestle entertainingly. Genuinely, legitimately, I wouldn't want to fight the bastard. Fuck me, he'd chew me, he'd eat me. But to watch him, he's fucking dull. He has no charisma to his wrestling style. He just sorry. I know, and I've said that before, I know, but it's fucking boring.
Wow. Okay. Well, I need to check it out before I can comment anymore. But yeah, I mean...
Okay, so talk about epic physical contests, we run into the next match, Rhea versus Flair.
Yeah, man.
Now,
I imagine that this was awesome.
Now, come on. I have a problem. You know, I like those girls. Like, I think those two are the two of the best wrestlers on the planet. So, not female wrestlers, just two of the best wrestlers on the planet. So, it was awesome. Like, it was just really good.
Yeah.
It was a little long, but then that's a pay-per-view, and I always say that about matches in pay-per-view, so you can ignore that with me. Great payoff. Oh, payoff was amazing. Like, the way they built the finish was just amazing, and the extension. Like, when Flair got her finish in, when she got it sunk in, man, you were like, that's it. It was like, yeah, it was so good. They had all the falsies, they had all the moments, and then Flair took it home, and it was like, yeah, amazing.
It's one that I'm genuinely interested in watching, because I think the problem that I've had with Rhea is that, not that she wasn't ready, but just that she was one of those classic cases of once she got in the spot, it wasn't what you wanted it to be. Does that make sense? Like,
sure.
You know, like I felt like people were kind of in the consensus that they wanted her to get that to get to the belt, but then once she had the belt, it wasn't all it was supposed to be.
Yeah, like,
you know?
What now?
Yeah, so, you know, putting it back on Charlotte. Charlotte's a fucking strong hand. Any way you shake it, man. Like, I know people get kind of a bit arsey about, oh, she's always the champ. She's always the champ because she's fucking good at what she does. And she's still got gas in the tank. Why not put her in the top while she can still give you those main event title-worthy matches? And it means that Rhea can go back on the chase. So, yeah.
And and for a young gun, that's a more interesting... It's a more interesting character the narrative's far more interesting being a young gun looking to take out the person with it than having it and not being quite ready for it. That narrative is very hard to carry off on your own, not without a lot of confidence and a lot of kind of building it out and making it your own, I think.
Yeah.
So
right then.
We go into now. Man, you're going to have to watch this one. Because Kevin Owens does some of the craziest shit, man.
This is the one that, like, even if I skip the rest of the pay-per-view, I'd want to watch this, just because the mixture of guys in this match are the kind of guys that I want to see in a ladder match.
Good. Yeah, man, it was so good. It was your match, your kind of match. Like, you're going to watch that and think, oh, I want to be in that match. I wish I was under that ladder. Like, honestly, like.
Because they're just getting more and more creative. Down at the Quality Wrestling Academy, randomly, actually, they have, like, the question of the week. Yeah. And someone said, like, what's your favourite ladder spot? And my eyes lit up and my ears picked up. I was like, oh, you know, this is my jam. And I said, like, you know, the stuff that pops me now is the fact that even after the very first ladder match was on WWE TV was in '99. No, it was even earlier than that. Sorry. Like the one that I remember watching anyway, the '99 one was the No Mercy tag match one. That was the first one. Obviously, then I went back retrospectively and watched the Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramones ones, etc. But they're still being creative with it now. They're coming up with new stuff. Like, you know, I remember Jeff doing the thing where he stood the ladder up like a V, so it's on its top end, and then suplexing the guy so it got sandwiched, and stuff like that still blows my mind.
Around, like, and Ricochet had some lovely high spots.
Oh, of course.
He cleared most of the ring with a jump to get onto the ladder, and then got tipped off. The ladder's tipping. He steps off onto the top rope, springboards, and does a flip onto the guys on the outside from a moving ladder. From a moving ladder, he just steps off casually, hits it, and then the person in the ring forgets about him, thinking he's taken loads of damage, but he didn't take any damage. He stepped off and flipped it, so he comes straight screaming back in. Man, that match, like, it was really cool. There were some great bits in it. John Morrison and Seth. Now, I don't think they're going to do anything with it, but if they ever wanted a tag, that tag would be sick. They did a little bit in the middle where they kind of allianced up, you know, two heels allianced up for a little bit. And they looked like their dynamic, their temper, the way they looked when they moved around together, they looked really cool. You know, there was something when they were just, I was like, that could work. That's amazing. I'll tell you what, though, Drew, they built. I think this was a creative choice. They built that match like really clever. All of the guys in it were at least 6 inches shorter than Drew.
Right.
There wasn't anyone. Probably the only person close to his build was Big E. Right? And that separated him. So Drew was like this huge giant among the rest of the peons, right? Like, you're like, well, he's clearly going to win. Like, sorry, but Big E's not going to beat... Big E's the only really big lump in there, and he's not ready to beat him. Everyone else is kind of a lot smaller. Seth's smaller. This person... I was just thinking... He's only got to walk up 2 steps and he can lift it down. The guy's massive, right? And he's so hench as well. Well, they covered that. They covered that lovely. So he's in his moment. The ring's been cleared. He's done his thing. He's running 2 claymores, clearing house, blah, blah, blah. Ladder. I'm Drew. I'm going up. No one can face me in this ring sort of thing, right? He gets jumped from behind, tossed out of the ring, and there's Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal?
Yeah.
Who's also a big lump, right?
Yeah.
He's a massive lump. Well, Jinder and his cronies proceed to batter fuck out of him and then kidnap him and take him hostage and just fucking just like Jinder batters fuck out of him.
Perfect.
And then
they protects Drew in a clever way. Yeah. Go on.
And then Big E goes up and gets the case.
I was glad. I was glad.
That was amazing. Right? There's no way Big E would have done that with Drew in the ring, right? It wouldn't be believable. How does Big E get Big E's the biggest lump? He should win that match if Drew's not there, but he shouldn't win it if Drew's there, right? At the moment, arguably, the way they're built, the way they're positioned at the moment.
Exactly. I think it would have been nice, knowing that I called this. I said that I wanted Big E to win it. And I felt that he was going to. I called it a while ago. I think it would have been nice if it had come down to Big E and Drew, and Big E got it as kind of a shock thing. But you're right. Then you've damaged Drew a little bit unnecessarily. So you don't need to have Big E and Drew at each other because they're on the right. Yeah, exactly. Segue off, get Drew to tread water with Jinder's feud for a little while, and Big E take it. And
Kevin took himself out, by the way. The only other person, when I was watching, I thought, maybe Kevin can now beat him. And then Kevin Owens oh, mate, the spot he takes, honestly, he's got
no spoilers, because I want to see it.
He's got a screw loose. When he takes it, you're going to shit your pants.
I will.
You'll know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. When he takes it, you will shit your pants. It's like the guy has got an absolute screw loose. Anyway,
I just before we move off of that though, but we're talking about Big E. I don't know where we're going 100%. I've got a feeling that it could be something along the lines of Goldberg, what's his name? Big E beating Goldberg after a hard-hitting match. And then, no, not Big E, sorry. Lashley beating Goldberg after a hard-hitting match, and then Big E cashing in. It would make sense. It's a little bit predictable.
I'd like to see them actually, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be happy with that, as long as I haven't got to watch Lashley wrestle.
But yeah, I think that's the sensible money. But yeah, I'd like to think they'll be more creative and come up with something better than that. But even if I get that, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, man.
Right, we need to go. We need to talk about the go home. We need
to go home because we're getting to the end of the podcast, which is really great because we're now in the last match. Now, if you're going to watch this last match, you need to put 45 minutes of your life aside.
This is the thing with Edge, man.
This match is
coming back and doing these marathon matches.
Now, I'll tell you what I did. Okay, I still don't like that. That's still my negative. It's the same negative I said at WrestleMania with Randy. It's my same negative with his last couple of matches. I think he does too much. But I tell you what I liked about it. I tell you what I thought was amazing about it. It was like Old Man Edge. Have you read Old Man Logan?
Yeah.
You know how much of a badass Old Man Logan is? Because he's still Logan. He walk because you can see him in a plaid shirt and a pair of jeans. But then when he strips off, you're like, holy shit, he's still an amazing... That's Edge, right? Edge walks out and you're like, okay, he's still got it. His music pops, his pyro pops. He gets in the ring, he takes his jacket off, and you're like, oh damn, motherfucker! Like he's in like fuck. Whatever he's on, whatever TRT he's on, I want some. Like like whatever peds he's doing, I want some of that. He is in incredible shape. And then out comes Roman. And for me, it was very, very comic book. We talked about this before with narrative. We talked about with wrestling and how it, how those two media art forms are intrinsically very similar, right? And this match is like someone who was an X-Man, who's become a bad guy, who's hot shit, who is like no one else in the world can touch, but they walk up to Old Man Logan and piss him off when Old Man Logan is retired. You know? It really had that feeling. And they stood there, and you're looking at it, and you're just thinking, it's a mirror match. They both spear. And I now get what, because I didn't agree with you when you called this in February. Said this is the match you want to see. I was like, oh, I don't want to see this match. I don't care. And then they stood there, and I'm looking at it thinking, man, Carl's right. That booking is genius. That booking is genius. And it was so good. It was so good that for a moment he fucking face turned. For a moment, it was literally, let's go Roman, let's go Edge. But give him his dues, he did do the right thing, and he turned on the crowd and he pulled it back. He pulled it back round again at the right moment. But he let it run. But he let it run for a while because the crowd was so into it.
Roman's taken the Cena spot, man. He's the guy that is actually better than anyone actually realizes. And they love to boo him because they think it's cool, but actually he's a hell of a hand. So I know a little bit of a spoiler about the finish.
It does suffer, though. The match suffers. Now, it might have been because I was hot, because I was watching it late at night, and it was still like 25 degrees or something stupid, right? And I had to watch it with my headphones on because the kids are in bed and what have you. So my patience, and I was feeling my back was a bit crook and blah, blah, blah. So it might have been my patience, but fuck me, did it drag?
Yeah.
I know it's a championship match, right? But I think it suffered from it. And I get what Edge is doing. Like, Edge is doing that Undertaker thing of like, if I'm gonna do 2 or 3 shows a year, then they're gonna be the 2 or 3 best shows of anybody. Like, it's not just my best show matches, but they're gonna be the best matches of the year, hands down. Which Taker had that spot for a couple of years. Like those matches he had at WrestleMania, you were like, yeah, he had one match that year, and it was the best match of any match. And I think Edge feels that he's in that sort of position, but I think some matches suffer from it because I honestly couldn't. I was bored. I just stopped watching. I kind of started skipping. You get the 10-second wheel on the NXT network, and I'm like, next 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there's a moment. I'll watch that. 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Oh, I'll watch this bit. It did build nicely, and it did finish. The finish was fun. All the interruptions and all the stuff. I'm not going into too much, but
I mean, I know a spoiler about where Edge might be heading next,
right
after this. And I think we're safe to talk about it. I think at this point, people, if you haven't watched Money in the Bank,
it's a week. Yeah, it's been a week.
It's been a long time. If you in wrestling terms, but if you don't want to know, then just block your ears for the next 10 seconds because Seth Rollins factors into the finish and. Give me Rollins versus Edge right now. Yes, please. Num, 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 num. I will eat that all day long. That is the perfect next setup for Edge. The next match for Edge. I'm all about that. I won't talk about it too much more.
No, and that kind of makes sense because the architect is very much like, I need to set up my own destiny. I need to create my own. I need to take charge. I need to take control of what's going on. I'll tell you what the best thing about that at the end, though, was, Carl. Just seeing another human after so long. I think I'd been sat watching that match for about 5,000 years. So just seeing another human was really nice.
That wasn't the only new
That's
human.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That was what was fun about the end of it. The fun was just seeing that tirade of people through the finish. And then... out comes the man himself.
Yeah, skinny
Cena is back. Honestly.
I mean, again, they're setting up SummerSlam and they're doing that thing of like, right, We got crowd back. SummerSlam's next one. WrestleMania was a bit lackluster. Let's make SummerSlam this year's WrestleMania. Let's bring back Goldberg. Let's bring back Cena. Let's set up Edge versus Rollins. Let's do, they're putting all the different pieces in the right place. It's actually setting up for me what could be probably the most must-see pay-per-view for a long time. I think SummerSlam could be genuinely friggin' excellent. The way that they're putting the pieces together now. I'm not a Cena hater, and Cena versus the head of the table. Yeah, I'm all about that. I think that'll be fine. I think that'll be a good match. Yeah.
Have we seen it before, or are we hoping that? Because I think we have seen it before. More than
not
once.
Under these circumstances.
But is it different? Is Roman a different person now?
And Cena will certainly be different. I think you can't go away for that long and not miss a step or change a game a little bit. And Roman is certainly a much more rounded performer now. So yeah, I just think it's the perfect main event for SummerSlam. Listen, man, I'm burnt out. I'm gassing already.
It is the go home.
It's hot in this little cave of mine, and
man,
I'm sweating.
The 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Again, as always, guys, we've been actually getting loads of really nice feedback. By the way, we can get a few messages from people that we know and from people we don't know saying they're really enjoying the podcast still. That they're putting it on. So whenever you're listening to this or watching this, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you've watched it all the way through to the end. We are going to be getting more guests on this season. Carl wasn't blowing smoke a couple of weeks ago with his. Is hopefully going to be our most exciting guests of any season this season. So watch that space. We obviously, this is going to be on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. Please subscribe. We've got a couple of new subscribers this week, and last week's video was really great. We had about 60 or 70 people watch it. But if there's 60 or 70 people watching it, we've only got 43 subscribers. So if you're watching, please just take the 3 seconds. Just press that subscribe button for us. And, press the notification button, because you'll get a notification when the next one's coming out. So, as always, Carl, I'll let you sign off, mate.
Yeah, man. I was just going to say, the one thing that's burning in the back of my brain is that maybe with this upcoming tag title shot in Southampton, we need to do a kind of a special on the road podcast, get some stuff of us actually on the road, going to the shows, backstage with the boys, etc. Maybe some footage from the actual event, and then our reactions to it and before it. I think that'd be a great episode. So, I'll try and push for that to happen, guys. I'll get Mad Dog to actually organise a camera that knows where the button is on it. But yeah, so that's going to round us out. Thanks for listening, liking, commenting, subscribing, all the rest of it. We'll see you next time in the virtual barber's shop. Oh.